He is a two-time world champion, the MVP of the 1978 World Champions, and the author of one of the most iconic home runs in baseball history. Joining us here on the Carolina Sports Network is Bucky Dent. Bucky, great to see you. How's life treating you these days?
Life's treating me well. You know, I mean, we just finished the Old Timers 40th anniversary of the 77 team, and next year will be the big one of the 78 team 40th anniversary, and I got to see all my homies, all my guys I played with, and had a ball.
As a kid growing up watching Yankee old-timers games throughout the years, you had DiMaggio and Mantle, Yogi, and they kept passing the torch. Now it's, I guess, Whitey Ford is the senior Yankee, 88 years old, the biggest ovation there on Sunday.
Yes, Whitey Ford and Don Larson. Actually, Don Larson, you know, made it out and sat down, and he got a standing ovation a couple times, you know, but you know, there's not many of those guys around, you know, anymore. You know, Dr. Bobby Brown, of course, Kubek and Richardson. But, you know, when my first old timers in 77, you know, all those guys, you know, Mantle, Maris, Roger Maris, Yogi Berra, Allie Reynolds, all of them, you know, it was wonderful to be able to, you know, talk to those guys and spend time with them. And, you know, now it seems like my group, the 78 group, is the old timers, and it's gone by fast.
You know, taking me back to 1978, I was 12 years old watching the game at the Danbury Fair in Danbury, Connecticut on a transistor television at the on a class trip, and I'm watching that game transpire, and you're up there, key moment of the game, break your bat, come back to the dugout, next pitch. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you took Mickey Rivers' bat and went up there and you hit a ball that a lot of people still didn't think was going out until Bill White said it's out of here. And just take us back to that day in October.
Well, it was a crystal clear day, you know, probably the most pressured game I've ever been in, and before the game started, I said, hey, homie, can I use your bat? And so I used it. Well, I cracked it right under the tape. And in the seventh inning, I didn't wear my guard, and I'd had a blood clot that year. And I said, one game I'm not going to wear it. And I fouled the ball off, and I was really worried about it. I didn't know, you know, how I was going to react, and we didn't have any more infielders. They had pinched hit for Brian Doyle, and Randolph had a hamstring problem, so I knew I had to play. And when I started back up, Mickey goes, hey, homie, you got the wrong bat. And Bat Boy came up and gave me the bat. I got in the box, and the whole time Mike Torres didn't throw any warm-up pitches, and he threw a fastball right in an area where I could get to, and I hit it, and I really didn't see the ball go out. And when I rounded first base, I saw the umpire's signal was a home run. And I do remember rounding third how quiet Fenway Park was. But you know, people say, well, what were you thinking when you got to home plate? I said, we're ahead because we have 3 more innings to go against this great team. So I didn't get to celebrate a whole lot.
That summer, I remember you guys couldn't get out of your own way early part of the year. Guidry was like the only one that from start to finish 25-3 with that great ERA. 14 games back in the middle of the summer. Did you guys think that you had no shot? Did you ever say that to yourself? I know you never admitted it's over, but subconsciously say, hey, maybe this isn't our year?
No, you know, we had a lot of guys hurt. You know, Mickey Rivers was hurt. Catfish had a shoulder problem. You know, I'd missed 40 games. Some other guys were hurt. But as we came back, the one constant we had was Guidry. We knew we were going to win every 5th day. And so when Catfish came back and some of the other guys came back, we started to put together winning streaks. And we started to get a little bit closer, and we said, look, if we can make up 1 game a week till we get to September, we play them 7 times. That's going to be the whole year. And so we did. And we got to September. Early of September, we went up and beat them 4 straight. They called it the Boston Massacre. Went back home, beat them 2 out of 3. And at that time, you know, we thought we were going to win it all.
Even down 2-0 to the Dodgers in the World Series?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, I remember Munson getting on the plane and go, oh, listen, they didn't think we were going to win 14 games back. We weren't supposed to beat Kansas City. We're 2 games down against these guys. So we're going to win this thing. And we came back and won 4 straight.
Before we close up the Yankee part of your career, I'd be remiss. I know you wound up after managing for the team, played for the late George Steinbrenner, and a lot of people talk about George now that he's gone. They kind of rewrite history a little bit of it. A lot of people forget the turbulent times of the 70s and the 80s that I witnessed as a kid. What was it like to work for George after you were a player?
You know, he was a great owner. I played for him. I managed in the minor leagues. I managed in the big leagues, you know. And I always say, you know, you knew the bottom line and the ground rules when you worked for him. You know, it was win. That was the bottom line. If you don't win, you're going to get fired just like everybody else. And I was managing Columbus in '89 when I took over the Yankees for Dallas Green, and we were in a transition period and we weren't very good. But I'll never say anything negative because I got to play for the team I wanted to. I got to manage the team I wanted to. Got to win World Series and play in one of the greatest games ever. And he was a great owner. He was a guy that was very passionate about his players, and he was very loyal to them. And I really miss him.
Bucky, we're talking with Bucky Dent, MVP of the 1978 World Series here at BB&T Ballpark prior to the Knights and Columbus Clippers game, which incidentally was a Yankee farm team back in the day, I believe, when you were coming up through the system. First time here at BB&T Ballpark. Did they have minor league stadiums like this when you were coming up?
No, actually, when I managed for Columbus, we played in the old ballpark. And then I've heard an awful lot about this. But, as I managed in the years, I started in '87 in AAA. You could see, Columbus at the time was like the Cadillac of AAA. And then Indianapolis got built, Louisville got built. And when I went to Omaha in the Pacific Coast League in 2002, you started to see Fresno, Sacramento. So, the ballpark started to change. The crowd started, becoming, more electric in the minor leagues because of the, the fan-friendly ballparks that they were building. And it's totally changed from back when I was managing, when I first started managing.
Now, you spent your time partially today going over to the Children's Hospital at Levine. Cancer is something that has taken people from my life. I know your wife passed away from cancer. Talk a little bit about your foundation and what you're trying to do to combat this dreaded disease.
Well, my wife lost her battle to a brain tumor, the one that took Bobby Mercer, Dick Hauser. And, when she was going through her treatments, she noticed that, a lot of people were cold. She would bring this beautiful blanket that my son's mother had given her. And so she came one day and she said, I'd like to buy everybody in the fusion room with me a blanket and a pillow. And so from there, we started a charity called Embrace with Love, where we gave blankets out to people who were getting treatment. And last year we gave out over 1,000 of them. But what we decided to do, this was the last one that I was going to do, the last hospital I was going to do. We decided to take the money and do a naming in Lynn Cancer Institute down in Boca in her honor, because we felt that would be something that would be there forever. And so that's what we decided to do. But cancer affects everybody, and it was her passion, and that's something that she wanted to do.
Is there any way that people, if they want to contribute or help you, and enhance the foundation, can contribute to you?
Well, right now, we're just making some changes, and like I said, I'm not going to pass out any more blankets, and if they want to, they can contribute to Lynn Cancer Institute in her honor, in her name, Marianne L. Dent.
Last one, Bucky. One of my favorite commercials of all time was with you and your late wife, the fur commercial, when she ends it calling you Russell, which a lot of people don't realize Russell Earl is your given surname. Talk about that commercial. What went into that? Because that was one of my favorites of all time.
Well, actually, Nick Bonaconte got me into that, and it was a fur commercial. And I tell you what, it was so long a time ago that I forget about it, to tell you the truth. But every now and then, somebody like you will bring it up, and I'll turn red and get embarrassed. But it was one of those commercials that I like to forget about.
Bucky, great spending time with you here at BB&T Ballpark. You look great. Keep up the good work fighting that dreaded disease, and just hopefully we could talk to you down the road.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.